Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. You are joining the PhD in Education information session. We're so thrilled that you are able to join us to learn a little bit more about our program. Today we're going to go through welcome and introductions. We'll go through the PhD curriculum, some of the advantages of our program, as well as information on outcomes and some of our alumni. We have current students with us who will also provide their perspective, and then we will go through admissions and financial aid. So my name is Margaret Okada-Sheck. I'm an Assistant Director of Admissions here at Harvard Graduate School of Education.
And I am Nancy Hill, and I direct the PhD in Education program. I'm also the Charles Bigelow Professor of Education. I'm a developmental psychologist by training.
Hi, my name is Carlos Aguilar. I'm a second-year doctoral student. I'm in the concentration of CIS, which is Culture, Institutions, and Society. And before coming to Huxley, I was in San Antonio, Texas, completing my master's degree and working as a legal assistant.
And I'm Emily Hanno. I'm a D4, meaning I'm in my fourth year. And prior to coming, I was in Houston, Texas. We're not all from Texas. And I was working as an instructional coach with early career teachers in the city.
Wonderful. So, Nancy, if you could get us started.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. So our PhD in Education is interdisciplinary by design. It's offered jointly by HGSC and the Harvard Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. And in doing so, it brings the best the university has to offer and focuses it on education. Our faculty are drawn from across Harvard's graduate and professional schools. So our students work with faculty from across the university. Our students take courses across the university. It combines current advances in knowledge in the social sciences, arts and humanities, but it's all with a focus and a lens on education. So how do we bring what we know from the social, natural sciences and humanities to understand education, educational processes, and the education sector? We train students for careers as academics, as researchers, policymakers who want to do evidence-based policy and practice, and also school leaders. Our program has two objectives. First is knowledge building, and the second is skill building. And so with knowledge building, we really want to begin and equip our students with domain knowledge in education. So to be a PhD student and to come away with a PhD, you need to have a deep knowledge of education, but then also to provide relevant training in the disciplines. And so some of your questions as students will have a lens that's more sociological or psychological or from economics, and so we'll provide deep training in the relevant disciplines that inform the questions that you're interested in. So we'll give you good, strong foundational knowledge in education and in the relevant disciplines, and then we match that and couple that with skill building. So you'll get rigorous training in a wide range of research methods. Some people come in and think that they are interested in just one research method, but then they find that their questions will lend them to use other research methods. So we make sure that all of our students have deep and foundational training in qualitative methods, quantitative methods, and other kinds of historical methodologies, so you can better match your methods to the kinds of research questions that you have. And then together with your knowledge building and the skills that you have, the goal is to enable you to conduct the kind of research that will generate knowledge and information that will transform the education sector. So you'll have knowledge and foundation, so you ask better cutting-edge questions matched with research methods and skills so that you can ask innovative questions and have a transformative impact on the education sector. Our PhD program breaks out into three concentrations: cultures, institutions, and society, or CIS, education policy and program evaluation, which we call EPI, and human development, learning, and teaching. And I'm going to talk about those one by one. So as you can see on this slide, we have the three concentrations. So cultures, institutions, and society is focused on, as you might imagine, culture, institutions, and wait for it, society. And the primary focus is to look at questions around education at a more organizational focus, looking at social structures, looking at context across the lifespan, but really looking at the level of culture and society and organization. And so the theoretical and disciplinary underpinnings are more along the lines of sociology, political science, organizational behavior, and management. And so if you have questions that are really about how does the organizations and society impact education, then you're really thinking about cultures, institutions, and society. The second concentration is education policy and program evaluation. And this is the study of the implementation and evaluation of policies and practices related to education. And so it focuses a lot on measurement and assessment, policy development, issues around implementation of policy. And the theoretical underpinnings are more along the lines of political science, public policy, economics. And then our third sector is human development, learning, and teaching. And this is really focused on education at the individual level. And so it focuses on issues of developmental change, how students go about learning, what are learning processes, how does biological, cognitive, and social processes impact learning. So it's really learning at the individual level. And so if you're thinking about individuals as your kind of level of analysis, whether it's teachers and their professional trajectories as individuals, or students, or families, or parents as it impacts education, then you're really thinking about human development, learning, and teaching. Those theoretical underpinnings are more along the lines of psychology, cognitive science, linguistics, biological sciences. And as you look at the slide, you'll see there are some overlapping disciplinary backgrounds, and that's because education is not neatly parceled out, which is why we really want an interdisciplinary focus. But these are the lenses. So if you lend one way or another around these theoretical underpinnings or your level of analysis, that's how you're going to think about concentration. I'm going to give you another example because we're kind of different from other schools in that we don't have concentrations that are based on topic. We have concentrations based on level of analysis. So let me give you another lens on this. So imagine, for example, that you're interested in higher education as a topic. You might find yourself in any of the three concentrations based on how you think about your questions in the area of higher education. So for example, if you think about higher education and your questions are more along the lines of what's the role of the community in supporting students' access to higher education, how do high schools prepare students to do well academically and socially as they transition to college, if you're really interested in the systems and the organizations and the communities that support higher education, then you're going to be focused on cultures, institutions, and society, a CIS level kind of question. But let's say you're interested in higher education, but you're really interested in how federal policies impact financial aid. How do we think about policies around how standardized test scores are given, or the ability of standardized test scores to predict success in college? If you're really looking at kind of a policy level around higher education, then you would be in education policy program evaluation. Also, as a third lens, if you're also interested in higher education as a topic, but you're really interested in how, say, first-generation students experience college. What are the kinds of individual characteristics that lead to success in higher education? Then that's going to be more of an individual level or human development, learning, and teaching. So here I want you to understand that you have the same topic, but based on your level of analysis or how you approach your problem or how you approach the topic you're interested in, that's going to help you pick the right concentration. So I'm going to ask our students here, Emily and Carlos, to just tell us how they came to pick their concentration.
Emily?
So, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm an education policy and program evaluation student. And one of the primary ways that I made the decision to apply to that concentration was that I studied economics in undergraduate. So that was a lens that I already knew and was familiar with, and also a lens through which I kind of perceive and explore the world. Relatedly, the questions that I'm interested in, which are primarily in early childhood, are related to systems level questions, and it seems like the EPI concentration was well aligned to that.
For me, before coming to Hogsy, I was completing my master's in sociology. It also happened that Roberto Gonzalez, who is working on research with undocumented individuals, is here in Hogsy. So the fact that I was already going through the sociological school of thought, and the fact that Gonzalez, who is also a sociologist, conducting research for this type of research about the research that I wanted to do, made it easier for me to choose CIS. Given that I'm interested in exploring how the state interacts with local and federal policies to affect the trajectories of undocumented youth, it made it clear for me that I had to come to this school and concentration.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily and Carlos. And so what you'll find is sometimes the faculty that you're interested in working in already have an alignment with the level of analysis that you have. And so you might say, for example, with Carlos, Professor Gonzalez is his advisor, and he tends to be one who's aligned with CIS. And so that might help you make your decision. And then other faculty, such as myself, who is the developmental psychologist, I have students who are in the CIS concentration on my research team, and also students who are in human development, learning, and teaching. They just do different kinds of things on our broader projects. So my HDLT students are really focused on individual learners, and my CIS students are interested in issues around school climate as they impact these individual learners. And so even within a single faculty member, you might have students from multiple concentrations based on their level of analysis. Next, let's talk about some of the academic milestones as you think about your course of time here. So in the first 2 years, it's really heavy in coursework. We have some required courses that will equip you with the knowledge building lens of our arm of our program and our skill building lens. So we'll make sure that you take courses that will prepare you well to get you acclimated in the education sector, in the field of education, and also in the disciplines that undergird your research interests. And we'll also make sure you get good, solid, foundational courses in statistics and methods so you're prepared to answer kinds of questions that are lighting you up in your area of interest. At the end of those 2 years, there is a comprehensive exam in year 2. There's a written comprehensive exam that's at the general level and at the concentration level. And so students will spend a week writing their comprehensive exam in the general area. It's a take-home exam, and it's graded by the faculty. And then in a second week, they will do a written exam in their concentration. So if you're in CIS, EPI, or HDLT, you will have a different set of questions that everyone writes in those 2 areas. They'll write in the general area, and they'll write in their domain or their concentration. And then at the end of your 3rd year, there is a second round of comprehensive exams that's really targeted at your area of interest. And so if the first 2 years are to give you foundational knowledge and to make sure you have good foundation and grounding so that you can ask good questions, in year 3, you become a little bit more specific in your area of research. And so the 3rd year oral exam is based on 2 papers that you produce. It's based on a publishable paper, which is a paper that you would be the lead author on. It might come out of your research practicum experience. It might be data that you've collected on your own or existing data that you have, but it's your opportunity to show the faculty that you can produce individual and novel research. And so it's a publishable paper that you'll present, and it should be ready to be submitted for publication shortly thereafter. In addition, you will present, as part of the 3rd year comprehensive exam, what we call a field statement. And the field statement it can sometimes turn into literature review of your dissertation. But what it basically is a paper that demonstrates your understanding of the theories and pressing questions in the area in which you want to have an impact. It's often broader than a dissertation introduction because you're really trying to say, here is the intersection of the theory and questions and research and methods that impact the questions that I'm particularly interested in. So you have a field statement and a publishable paper, and you defend those before your committee at the end of your third year. And then you're well positioned in year 4 to write your dissertation proposal because you've got good foundation, you've demonstrated you can publish at Word, you've laid out the area that you're interested in, and now you're ready to propose that first study that you want to do as part of your dissertation. And you do that in year 4, and then in year 5, or sometimes depending on the kind of data you're collecting, it may be past year 5, you're ready to defend your dissertation. And just like that, they're done! And those are the academic milestones. Let's look at them in a slightly different way. So I listed them, but here's how you kind of think about your academic timeline. And what I want you to take away from this slide is really the progression from the upper left-hand corner down to the lower right-hand corner as you go across your 5 years. You begin very, very closely aligned with the faculty. You're doing coursework in years 1 or 2, and you can see that kind of drops off. But that, if you look at that line around year 3, it kind of drops off because you kind of quit taking courses because you start doing, you know, individual research, and so the coursework kind of diminishes. In those first years, you begin with a required colloquium experience, which is offered as a class. We bring in speakers. There's opportunity for students to present their work. And again, in the first years, those are required as to take as a course, so you get exposed to people who are doing research, and you get exposed to how to present research and ask questions about research. And in those latter years, in the dashed line, you're no longer going as a participant in the audience. You're going to be presenting your own individual work to colloquia and then attending them because it's part of the, you know, just the intellectual life on campus. You'll see the research apprenticeship. You'll start out with a solid line, working directly with a faculty member, working with your advisor in those first years. And then that turns into a dashed line because you begin doing your own independent research, and so you might still be collaborating with your advisor, but you're really beginning to do your own work. And so those research apprenticeships kind of fall away as you kind of get launched into your own independent research. Again, you'll see the comprehensive exams. They begin in year 2, they end in year 3. And then you're doing your dissertation, which is your own independent research. And so by the time you leave here, you go from being tightly aligned in a kind of apprenticeship model and working with your courses and with your advisor to really doing your own independent research. And so that's kind of the timeline as we think about it in terms of the things that are required, but also how we see our goal is preparing you to do independent and individual research. So you might wonder, well, who enters this program? And the reality is that some of these characteristics aren't going to surprise you. We're looking for students who are motivated, who are self-driven because they're going to become independent researchers. We're looking for people who are genuinely curious and ask good questions around that have a strong impact on the education sector. We're looking for very strong academic preparation because you're going to hit the ground running in your coursework, so we want you to be well prepared. We're looking for people who are promising researchers who are going to be generating new knowledge and innovative knowledge for the field. So we're looking for promising researchers. We aren't expecting you to do that already. We're looking for promise. We are looking for future leaders across education-related fields. We're looking for people with relevant work and research experience. We don't expect you to have done it all or know it all before you arrive here, but to have a good enough taste of it that you kind of have a sense of what it's going to be like. So we're looking for people with relevant experience, but we're not looking for people who already know what to do. The applications are evaluated holistically. that there are no minimum GPA or GRE cutoff scores. Every application gets read by at least 2 people, and they are evaluated. We are looking holistically, so some of you might be thinking, gosh, you know, I'm not a good test taker, but if you look at my grades, you can see I have strong preparation. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. That we're looking for people who are promising, researchers that have strong academic preparation, and we use the application holistically to help us judge that. There are no cutoffs. Every application gets read. Some students will come in with a master's degree, as Carlos said he did, but that's not required. That Emily just shook her head. She didn't come in with a master's degree, and so we're not looking for that as a requirement, but sometimes a master's degree is a way to demonstrate some of the other characteristics that we're looking for, and so that's not required. So you might wonder, well, what are the kinds of research interests people have at HGSE? And here's a word cloud of the research interests of the cohort of students that came in 2017, last fall. And what you can see here is that people come in with a wide variety of interests, from students, relationships, development, impact, social, literacy, teachers, schools, unrepresented, undocumented, choice, family, children, you name it, it's probably up there. But the thing that comes out is that everyone's interested in education. They're bringing their diverse and varied interests, and the thing that ties us together and makes us a coherent program is that we're interested in education, the education sector, and improving opportunities for children both in the U.S. and abroad. There are several particular advantages to our PhD program. One is that this is an interdisciplinary PhD program that's jointly offered with GSAS and HGSE, and so you have access to faculty across the university, not just here in the School of Education. That we bring in leaders from across the field, that Harvard is often a magnet for people across to come in and come to Harvard to give lectures and things like that. So there's a wide variety of people who come here that we can take advantage of, both at HGSE and at the Kennedy School and the Law School and the Business School and at GSAS. There's always someone on campus that is giving a talk and is welcoming to our students. There are several research centers that are based here at HGSE that are interdisciplinary contexts for our students to do work, including the Center for the Developing Child, the Center for Education Policy Research, the Collaborative on Academic Careers in Higher Education are just some of the research centers that are on campus that are good places for our students to do this work. But just about every faculty member has active, strong labs that they're doing in collaboration with other faculty on campus and with people across the globe. We have a very engaged alumni network, both here at HGSE, at the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and Harvard writ large. That's a very well-cultivated alumni network that will enable you to make a connection across the globe. You might wonder what kinds of places do our students land. Our graduates begin careers in higher education. They do research, they work in nonprofits, they're in public education. A lot of our students, because of the research emphasis, often take faculty jobs right out of the chute. We have alumni at places like Brown and Bates and Columbia, Michigan, and you can see the others listed there. Many others will, instead of going right into a faculty position, will go on as a postdoc or a research associate at places like MIT and UMass and University of Michigan. Others go on to research firms doing contract research. One of my students is at RAND, took a position at RAND this past year, with people at Mathematica and AIR. And then others go take all of these research skills that we're giving them and go right back into senior leadership so that they can do evidence-based, research-based, grounded practice and policy to serve children both in foundations, in nonprofits, and in public schools. And so those are some of the places where people have landed. And basically, you can really take the kind of research skills that we're offering and do all kinds of things with them. But those are the most general outcomes that are from our students.
Well, fantastic. Now that we've talked about what alumni do, I would love to shift our focus to hearing from the students. So we are super lucky that both Carlos and Emily are with us today. And so my first question to the both of you is, what was it like to transition into the PhD program here at HGSU? Carlos, would you mind starting us off?
Yeah, thank you for the question. For me, I think academically it was challenging because of the nature of the program, but coming from working on a master's and also being employed, the fact that the program, at least my program, is fully funded made it really easy for the transition. However, given the change of location from Texas to Massachusetts, it was kind of difficult. But I think the school, at least in my own case, allowed for the creation of community within other students, with other students who also came to the same school. So that was challenging. I was able to overcome some of the transition issues that I faced.
Great. Emily?
Similarly, I think partly because I was in a practitioner role before, I transitioning to writing papers again and doing all sorts of problem sets was a big change in lifestyle of my day-to-day work. And I definitely missed being close to children and families in my practitioner role. So that was just a challenge for me. But I agree with Carlos that the program provides a lot of supports, and you have 24 or 30 peers that are going through the exact same transition as you, and so I found it really helpful to dig into that community in my first year in particular, to empathize and get together for fun events to just make sure that we were all taking care of each other and ourselves in that first year.
Wonderful. Can you both share with us, in what ways have you been able to get involved in research with your advisor?
I'm happy to take that question first. I have worked with my advisor, Professor Dana McCoy, since my first year in the program, and on several projects, but one in particular has been in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where we've been running a very large randomized control trial of a socio-emotional learning project curriculum there. And that has been an amazing experience. I've been able to go down as the representative from the Harvard team twice, and we're now in the data analysis phase, which is great fun. And then additionally, I think there's opportunity to work with other faculty members. So I've been working with Stephanie Jones and Noni Lasso on their advanced early learning study at Harvard, affectionately known as ELSA. So that if you're interested in early childhood, there's a lot of great stuff going on here. So that's something I've appreciated, being able to engage with both my advisor, but also other faculty members.
Fantastic.
Coming into the program, I had research that I had conducted during my master's program. So I was able to get Dr. Gonzalez on board with some of my own research projects. Similarly, he invited me to collaborate with him in the third wave of interviews that he's conducting nationally with undocumented and beneficiaries. So I've been able to collaborate with him both on my personal projects and in the projects that he's having in school. So that's my experience. Most of them are, well, all the faculty that I've talked to, they're really open for you to collaborate with them, and it's just a matter of reaching out and finding like the perfect match for you.
Great, and Carlos, you sort of mentioned this, but so I'm assuming that you're also able concurrently to pursue your own individual research interests. Is that right?
Yes.
So how have you been able to do that, sort of managing all of that?
I'm really passionate about knowledge creation about undocumented communities. So I guess that's what fuels me to continue doing that. And so I've been doing what I've been doing since my master's, and working with Gonzalez. And during the summer, I was able to collect data in Texas with DACA beneficiaries. So it's just, I don't know, just keep moving and keep doing the things that one is doing. I don't know. There's resources. You just make use of it.
And Emily, have there been any sort of individual research work that you've been able to do?
Yeah, so I think Carlos is right that there are plenty of resources here for that. So I've actually partnered with the Center for Education Policy Research and had a fellowship through them through which I have had the chance to work with the Community Action Project of Tulsa, doing a whole bunch of research for them. I had a call with them this morning, so I've been working with them for 2 years on my own research. And then I've also received funding from an organization in Harvard called the David Rockefeller Center on Latin American Studies, Dr. Class, to extend some Brazil work that is my own. So there's plenty of financial resources. I think Carlos alluded to this. It's just making the time that's difficult, and I think the passion is what's super important if you're interested in making sure that you're following research questions that you're actually interested in.
So I think that both of you talked a little bit about this, but I can say just for everyone that the cohort and the HGSE community are pretty much some of the singular most important characteristics of the PhD program, and frankly about HGSE broadly speaking. For the students, would you mind sharing with us how have you been able to create community here?
The initial level of community that I was able to find was my cohort. You know, I think as Emily mentioned, we're all going through the same, so we're all transitioning together, and we create such a bond that it allows for community to happen. Also, the master's students have different affinity groups. In my case, they have, for example, Undergraduate Allies, Comunidad Latinx, which allows you to also expand your community not only within the PhD program, but also to reach some master students and other organizations that exist within the broader Harvard campus.
Similarly, I think the cohort experience is particularly salient in the first few years, and I think that has morphed for me as I've progressed through the program into very strong research partnerships with several of my community members. And so I would say that I spend probably most of my time with 1 or 2 other doctoral students who have very similar research questions and interests as me, and that's been probably the most rewarding bit of training that I've had in this program.
Wonderful. So as you can see, there's lots of different opportunities that we provide for doctoral students here at HGSE to connect with each other, connect with other community members, whether it's through student organizations or even in your classes. There's also different types of programming that the doctoral programs office puts on. Doctoral students, because they are here for a longer period of time, get to know the sort of lay of the land very well, and many of them engage with lots of other community members, either through work as teaching fellows or teaching assistants in other places, research assistants, school-wide committee members. So there's lots of different ways that students are able to become engaged with the community, generally speaking. So this past year, all together, we generally welcome anywhere between 20 and 25 PhD students every year. But as a whole, we bring in more master students. So this past year, we brought in 687 students from 6 continents, not Antarctica, as well as all across the United States as well. Generally speaking, we are similar to the education field where the majority of our students are female. About 20%, a little over 20% of our students are not from the United States or from other countries around the world. And about 30% generally of the U.S. students self-identify as a person of color. What I would like to point out actually is at the bottom of the screen. The first is that the PhD program is only available on a full-time basis. We do not have online programs, so you have to physically be in residence here, and you have to be enrolled on a full-time basis. In addition, I just wanted to point out that it is a range. We have admitted students straight from undergrad. We also have students with loads of work experience. That's a different dimension of diversity. For last year, it was about 5 years or so of work experience for those who entered into the PhD. But again, it's an average. All to say that students are really coming here, dedicating their lives to have this very, very special type of training in order to make an impact on the field through educational research. So now that we've talked about the community, let's talk about admissions and financial aid. So as Carlos mentioned very helpfully, there are lots of resources for our students. So it is, we provide a full tuition, health fees, and a stipend for years 1 and 2. Years 3 and 4 would be tuition, health fees, and a guaranteed income through teaching and research assistantships. Usually that funding is about, or that income is about the same as the stipend that you would receive in years 1 and 2. In year 5, there's tuition and health fees. And then in addition, there is a dissertation completion year, which again is tuition, health fees, and a stipend. There's also summer funding that is available for our students.
One thing I wanted to point out about the funding in years 1 and 2 that's different than other schools is that the stipend that you receive isn't tied to your research work. And so you might find that in some schools where you get a research assistantship, you have to actually work on a particular research project. And one of the things that we like to do here is to make sure that you have funding so that you can begin working with your advisor, regardless of whether or not they have a grant that can fund your full stipend right off in year 1, so that we can decouple your ability to pursue your research interests with your ability to fund yourself. And so we offer the stipend in years 1 and 2 that's disconnected from your actual research work.
Thanks so much, Nancy. I appreciate that. And that's absolutely right. And this is one of the really unique aspects of the PhD program in education here, is that for the first time, when you're entering the program, there is no sort of work requirements sort of weighing you down while you are transitioning into the program, into your research, into getting this type of training. That's great. The next I want to chat about is the admissions application. If you are listening to this, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences is the one that posts the application. It will not be through HGSE. They will plan to publish that application on September 1st, 2018. The deadline will be Friday, December 1st, 2018. Now, I want to make it very clear that this is a strict deadline, and so we require all of your materials to be received by the GSAS admissions office by 5 p.m. That includes your test scores, your transcripts, your letters of recommendation. So what is involved in the admissions application? The first is a very straightforward online application form. We do require a statement of purpose, your resume or CV. We require the GRE from all applicants. We do not waive this requirement under any circumstances, so everybody must submit valid GRE scores. If English is not your native language and you received your bachelor's degree from an institution where English is not the sole medium of instruction, then you would be required to submit TOEFL scores to show English language proficiency. We also require all post-secondary transcripts, so transcripts from everywhere you have received academic credit, not just degrees. We require 3 letters of recommendation. And in the online application, you'll see that there's a supplemental form. So it's already directly in that application, and that provides us with a little bit of extra information. There's also a $105 application fee. For those who are experiencing financial challenges in paying this, the GSAS admissions office does offer the opportunity to apply for an application fee waiver, so you can contact them directly. Again, the URL is right here on this slide. We notify all applicants in March of 2019. So, though we're ending our presentation today, I just wanted to point out that there's loads of other opportunities for you to connect with us. On the slide, we offer a variety of different types of on-campus events. In particular, I want to plug the annual Diversity Recruitment Program, which will be on October 26th and 27th. This is a really phenomenal event for anybody interested in issues of diversity at all. Also, the following Friday is our open house. I would encourage anybody interested in that. You can sign up for any one of these events at our website. In addition, if you are local or are able to travel, we offer small group information sessions throughout the fall. We do offer one-on-one appointments that can be done in person or over the phone. And we also have class observation. So if you are in the area and would like to sit in on a specific type of class, you can just go onto our website. All of this information is located at our website. So I encourage you all to connect with us. I hope to be able to see you at an on-campus event or an individual appointment this fall. So if any of you have questions after this event, please do feel free to reach out. askphd@gse.harvard.edu is answered by both me and one of my other colleagues in the admissions office. We thank you so much for joining us, and we hope this was helpful to you as you continue to discern whether or not the PhD is the right next step for you. So thanks again, and have a really great day.